to my YouTube channel. Welcome back. My name is John and this is Easy IT by SJ. And for today we are going to learn about a form. What what is a form? Have you ever seen an example of login or register? If you are now here, that means that you have seen that. And all that information is all that stuff is working with the forms. So what are form tags? Form tag is used to create HTML form for user input. The form element can contain one or more of the following form elements. The first one is input, the second one is text area, and here as you can see I already have used two of them, but we are going to talk about them more. Alright, so the second one is text area, the third button, the fourth select, and also options, and also labels. There are actually more, but these are the main input types that are used inside of form. Alright, let's go ahead and try to figure out each one of them. So the first one will be the input that has the type of just a minute, let me write it. So the first one will be input which has type of text. As you can see, the inputs are the kind of tags that are only opening and not closing. This is mistake. It also gets an attribute of type which describe what type has the input. Alright, so the second one is the name attribute. So let's write something like name. The third parameter here, the third attribute is placeholder, which gets, I will show you now what is the placeholder. Just a second. Okay, I'm sorry, we are in a wrong folder. Just a second, please. Alright, now we are in the right place. Okay, as you can see here, let me correct this. Text name placeholder name. Alright. Let's go ahead and refresh and see what we got here. Okay. As you can see here, the text inside of the input has changed to name, but it was before this, it was email. Okay, so the gray letters that you see here, these are the placeholders, and placeholder gets the value of the placeholder name, the text which will be displayed inside the input. And here it gets the label which contains the name of the input. There are two ways to describe for what is your input made for. You can use either a placeholder or a label, or there is a third option. As you see here, you can use them both. And when you write something here, the placeholder will disappear because it is, as its name says, it is placeholder. Alright, so you see the next and one thing about the label. Here, as you can see, the form, the label that is connected to the input gets the attribute of 4. So what is that for? So the label element defines a label for several form elements. The label element is useful for screen reader users because the screen reader will read out loud the label when the user focuses on the input element. The label element also helps users who have difficult clicking on very small regions such as radio buttons or checkboxes, about what we are going to talk in the future. Because when the user clicks the text while the label element within the label element, it toggles the radio button checkbox. The 4 attribute of the label tag should be equal to the ID attribute of the input element to bind them together. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the next tag. So the next tag, next input type. Next one will be, just a second, let me write input type. Oh, I forget to talk about input type password. As you can see here, the input type password stands for the password input. And whenever you write something in it, it will be with the dots, like this. So this is for security purposes, and whenever you write something here, it will not be displayed on your screen. Okay, so that was the input type password. The next one comes input type radio. Have you ever seen a choice options when you can click only one of them? You can check only one of them. So this is the where radio input comes for. So it got the type attribute and also the name. For here we are going to write gender. Pay attention to this. Whenever you add two or more radio buttons and they have one action to do, you need to give all of them the same name. In future lessons, when we will talk about PHP and the backend, you will see why we do use the name attributes here. These are for backend, and these will send the information to the backend. Okay, so the input radio, the name that has gender, the ID that will be male, As you can see, this is for male. And also the input type radio doesn't get a placeholder. You will see now why. The next input also type radio, the name gender, and the ID of female. Also, all inputs do have the value attribute, which describes the value that they will get. In future lessons, when we will learn GS, you will see why we do use this value. But for now, I will show you something. If you write John here, it will appear on our screen. Just a second, let me finish this one. And we also need to put the labels for this radio inputs. So the label here, label, which is for male, and it gets the text inside male, so the user will understand that this checkbox value is male. And here label, which is for female, and also it got the female name. Alright, let's go ahead, refresh, and see what we got here. As you can see, we have two radio buttons here, and when I click on man, it will check the radio for the man, and when I click the female, it will check the radio for female. Let me show you why you should write these two the same. Why do the radio buttons should have the same name? Let's do this, for example, male, and this one female. Let's refresh and check. Click on this one and on this one, and both of them are getting checked. And why is this working like this? Because the HTML and also the form thinks that these two are different, and that is why we need to give them the same gender, the same name, because they are for the same value. And whenever you send this data to the backend, you can only check the one of them, because no one can have two genders. There is only one gender. Okay. Let's go ahead, learn few more inputs. Alright, so the next input is the checkbox. As for checkboxes, you can check how much you want, because they are not working like radio buttons. These are checkboxes, and you can check which option you want. You can check 3 or 5 at the same time, and the name will be for this checkbox agreement. Alright, I don't know why this stupid thing brings the closing tag. It doesn't have the closing tag. type checkbox and name. Second agreement. Second agreement. Alright, let's go ahead. Refresh. As you can see, we have two checkboxes. And as I mentioned before, you can't put the placeholder here in an input that has a type of radio or checkbox. And the reason is because they are too tiny and your placeholder will not fit there. And for here, as I already told you, whenever you write a value, it will appear here as a text written in it. And now it has the text. And when I clear the text, the placeholder there appears. Alright, let's go ahead. The next one, as you see here, we have a click option. So what is this made for? Whenever you fill a form, you need a button to submit that form, and for that we use a button tag, and also there is a few other things like input that has a type of submit. These are all the inputs that are available. Submit, and also input type reset. So what do you think? For what are these two made for? And yes, you are right. The first one is for submitting and the second one is for resetting. If you have filled the form and you think that you did something wrong here, you can click on a button and it will reset the whole form for you. And as here, if we refresh here, we will see that these buttons already have names, and how we can change them. We can change them with giving them value. Sign in or login, and for this one, value will be with a capital letter reset. Alright, let's go ahead, refresh. Oh, it already had the name. Let's write something different. Clear. Let's refresh, and you can see here, whenever I click it, it will clear the text that I wrote and also my options that I have checked. Clear. It is cleaning. As you can see, the data goes to backend with this way: name and also the password. But this is a lesson for future when we will learn about PHP. For now, just let's stick to our HTML and learn about it. Okay, so the next input type will be a color. Input that has type of color. Input type here, color. Let's refresh and check it here. Alright, as you can see, it brings up an option for us to pick up a color. then this brings us a color picker, so we can pick the color that we want, and whenever we picked a color, it will send the data to the backend. Alright, let's go ahead, learn more things. There is also an input that has a type of date. So what is this used for? In all registration forms, you have an option to put your birthday. So here it came. Here you can select the date of your birth. Like this one. And it will send this data to the backend. The next one is input, which has the type of file. This is for uploading files to the internet. And whenever you click on, let's refresh on this, it will open you your local file browser and give you option to upload a file, to check and upload a file from your local computer. Okay. There is also input type range. Input type range, which can get a value, and also the mean attribute, which will define the minimum number rate that it can has. For example, 25. This will be the minimum. Let's refresh, and you can see here it has the minimum range. This is from 0 to 100. Okay, there is also another input type, which is input of type search. Which can get a placeholder attribute, placeholder search. Let's go ahead, refresh and see what we got here. Here is our search. There is also another input type, which is input type number. Alright, let's check this one. As its name tells you, you can only write numbers here. You can't put a letter there, only numbers. This is made for numbers. Okay, so that's it for forms. Let's go ahead and check also the select options. Yeah, also about the text area. We talked about this one. Okay, so let's see. This can also get a placeholder, write something. refresh and see. As you can see, there is a this is made for there will be question, why do we have two text inputs? The first one, the input type text, and the second one, input type the text area. So the reason is why this was made is because in input type text you can only write names and short information. This isn't suitable for long text like comments or statuses. This is only made for names, and this one you can write whatever you want. Alright, let's go ahead and check the select options. Okay, so select tag, it will get the attribute of name. That will be something like programming languages. Okay, so here we need the options. Option tag gets the value, which will be the value of the select that you will that will be selected. So here let's write JS JavaScript, which stands for JavaScript. Next one, next option, value will be PHP, which stands for PHP. The next one will be value Python. And you can write more options if you want. So let's check and see what we got here. Yeah, and also if you don't put this option tags can get also the attribute selected, which will automatically which will select the option that you write selected. If you don't write the selected attribute, it will select the first one. So here it already selected the JS, and it has PHP and Python here. Also, there is another select option that you can select a multiple options, and for that you only need to write here in a select tag attribute of multiple, and this will give you a chance to select how much you want. You can select all of them. This will select all the options if you click on all of them or one or more. It's up to you how much you want to select. Alright guys, that's it for today. I hope that you have learned something today, and please don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell button so you will be notified when our lessons will come up. Okay, see you on next lesson, and also don't forget to like. Alright, have a great day, bye bye.